14th of 2020. Yep, just before the pandemic hit. And we said, talk to us about this. What does this look like? And during a snowy day in February when there were winter advisories out, we had about 130 people at Swan Lake to learn more about what this looks like. And our first reaction to it as a community, we did a survey following that, and about 85% of the folks there said, yep, this is worth looking into, we want to know more, let's figure out what's happening with this and what this could mean for Marshall County. So that started a 2-year process, 2.5 years, probably interrupted a little bit with COVID and pandemic, but it started a process for us to look more in depth at this and see what it could mean. What we really like about the Blue Zones project is that it's evidence-based, it's measurable, it's inclusive, and it's a system approach to population health. We like that 71 other communities have tried this model.
They've taken this model and they've seen some significant improvement in their health factors in a relatively short amount of time. We know this doesn't turn on a dime, but we also know that if we do nothing, it won't change. It will likely get worse instead of better. We like that it's comprehensive, it's in structure and framework, that it builds on what we've already done in our county with the stellar projects and with the regional cities projects. You know, we're putting in biking and hiking trails, and we're making sidewalks more accessible to people, and we're doing a lot of those things that help people move within the community more. And by doing that, they are becoming more active. So we want to build on that. But we also know that just having this regional planning team that started with Stellar, you know, since then we've become the Crossroads Regional Planning Team. We have a 501c3. We're committed to working together in a new and different way in Marshall County. We know that that framework alone puts us miles ahead of other communities in looking at doing something like this. So what Blue Zones is in a nutshell is years ago, 15, 20 years ago, Danny Buettner was commissioned by National Geographic to look at communities across the globe that had a longer life expectancy. And he did that, and he came back, and he's published several best-selling books since then. But they also took what he learned in that study period, and they put together this framework to help communities kind of replicate some of those learnings from those communities that have a longer life expectancy. And so that's what we've seen happen in the U.S. in those 71 communities. And one of the other parts of this that's appealing to us is this is not a first-time effort. They've been doing it in other communities. This is actually like their 4th generation of the program. They've been evolving as they go, learning as they go, modifying as they go. So it has some longevity as well. But what they're doing is they're centering it on 3 different things. Policy, first of all. What kind of policies do we have regarding smoking, and what kind of policies do we have that encourage people to, or encourage our communities to, put those sidewalks in whenever they have a chance, et cetera. Are we making them mandatory? Are we allowing some of those things to maybe take place later down the road? We know how that goes. A lot of times that just doesn't happen down the road. And we can see it even as I drive to work every day. I see it, people walking the streets to get where they want to go, which becomes a safety factor as well. And I think one of the things that's most striking is as we drive past elementary schools and so on, how many of our kids could be walking if our parents felt like it was safe to do that. So those are the kinds of things that they're looking at when they're talking about policy. They also look at places. Where do we gather the most? Where do we have the most opportunity to make change? One of those places is in our schools, and the other is in our businesses, grocery stores, restaurants, places that we frequent most often. What happens if those become Blue Zone certified businesses, Blue Zone certified schools? And all they're doing is we would be going into each business, each school, and saying, here's a menu of items that we think might be appealing for your population, your group of folks, to look at in making some healthy improvements. And so it's not prescriptive. They're not saying you have to do X, Y, and Z. They're saying let's have a conversation. Let's pick a few things that are going to help you have a healthier environment, and then implement those, and measure the results, see what happens with that. And then the other piece of it that is really appealing to me is that they focus on people. It's not just about policy, it's not just about those Blue Zone certified workplaces, et cetera, but what are we doing to connect with one another? Because that's part of being healthy as well. What kind of purpose do they have in life? Have you identified your purpose? Is the message that they're sending with that? Are you connecting with other people that are making healthy choices too? You know, some of the examples they used in some of the communities are, they call them walking wise, which was kind of a weird term to me, and I had to look it up. All it means is it's a group of people that are committed to maybe walking to school once a week, or walking together once a week. What they've experienced, we actually went to Albert Lea, Minnesota. They were the pilot community for this years ago. Very similar to Marshall County in their demographics and size and so on. And they said they really focused in on that, and they would sponsor all sorts of fun events to encourage people to walk together, and they would give them T-shirts and, you know, make a big deal out of it. But now, as we drove through Albert Lea, Minnesota, we could see those same groups of people doing that, and they haven't bought them a T-shirt in years. It's just become organic. It's part of what they do. And that would be the idea of it. You know, the other thing that struck me as we talked to them about it, sometimes we think that that kind of comprehensive change is going to take like 90% of us, you know, to really see any significant difference. We're looking for 15% of our population to start making different choices. And the part I really like about this too is that they're not saying you have to have this diet, you have to exercise this many hours a week, you have to do this. There's gentle nudges along the way. It's just giving people information and then providing those places where they can make those healthy choices easier. So in a nutshell, that's what it is, making healthy choices easier for folks. So we have been working on this, like I said. Goals with Blue Zones would be to systematically measure and improve our well-being and our social determinants of health. Lower healthcare costs, that's a big one that we think will be a strong selling point for our local businesses. Improve productivity, because we know a healthier workforce is more productive, more apt to be at work and productive when they're there. Position companies as innovators and leaders in preventative health, and we think that'll attract visitors and businesses to our communities. We also know from talking with other Blue Zones communities that this kind of project brings other grants, brings other money into the community to help support the different initiatives that we think will spring up out of this. I'm already getting calls from people that are saying, well, should we wait to do this project until Blue Zones comes along? And we're saying, no, start it now. It all folds in, and it'll all be great, but start it now and we'll build from there, because we think there will be plenty of opportunity to do that. We think it's going to improve the vitality of our community long term, our living environment, and boost our economic vitality. That's one of the big key factors, I think, that is drawing a lot of people to this work as well. And it could increase our population. As we work with the regional partners here in Marshall County, but also South Bend Elkhart Regional Partnership, that's a lot of the conversation we hear is, what are we going to do to attract population? A lot of us are losing population, and what are we doing to make our communities more appealing to people when they consider where they want to live, work, and play. So all of this is measured through what they call a well-being index. It's movement in the community, it's prioritized metrics, media interest, grant funding, all of those kinds of things are part of the measurables that come with this. For a full Blue Zones transformation, this is a lot like Stellar, in that we would be spending 3 years and 8 months for the full Blue Zones transformation. We would be looking at bringing in national experts, hiring a local team that would be learning from those Blue Zones experts, leveraging the brand, doing a lot of marketing and communication around what Blue Zones is doing in Marshall County. Bringing in policy experts as needed, maybe for the built environment. We already had a sample of that last summer when we had the Blue Zones team come in and go to each community and look, spend about a half, they spent a couple hours in each community over a 2-day period. But that's the kind of thing that we would have access to. And all of this would be working along with the Blue Zones team. Again, they're not telling us what to do, they're giving us the tools and letting us make decisions on what makes most sense for our communities. But it would take that long to hopefully earn that designation, and it's not just given out. We'd have to earn it, we'd have to achieve some of those measurables, but that's our goal anyway. We don't want to get into this and not have a successful outcome. They don't want to get into this and not have us be successful with it. So it really is a true partnership. So this has become, one of the things that's driving the conversation right now is this has become top of mind as we talk about Ready Grant proposals. We are positioned to submit this as a Crossroads project. Our Marshall County Crossroads team has selected about 3 major projects that they want to submit as countywide for a Ready Grant application. And the full cost of this project over a 4-year period will be around $6.1 million. What we're asking is about $1.22 million from a Ready Grant application, for the Ready Grant application, which means we'll need local public funding of about that same amount. So far, we've talked with several communities. Our Crossroads team said, hey, let's use 25% of ARPA funds as a target. Let's talk to each community, see if it's possible, each city, town, county, if it's possible to get some American Rescue Plan dollars. It doesn't have to be that source of funding, it could be any source of funding, but as a benchmark, let's talk about 25% and kind of see where we go from there. So far, Culver has committed 25%, Plymouth committed 25%, Bremen came in at 10%, and the county council and county commissioners will be meeting with them next week. We've had preliminary conversations with them, but we'll be meeting with them next week and want to get on their meeting schedule here by the 1st of August. Yeah. So that's what we're up to. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. I understand this is a big request, and you may need more time to think about it. I'm happy to make myself available. Members of our team are more than willing to come and talk to you more in depth about it. Just let us know what you need from us, and we're happy to accommodate.
What does that actually mean for dollars for Bourbon? Our part.
Yeah, so this is maybe old information. You may have more current information.
Well, just something close.
Yeah. So what we saw coming through, and this would have been several months ago, we saw that Bourbon was getting probably about $367,000 in ARPA funding, and so that would be about $91,777. Would be 25%.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And then, we've had multiple meetings with individual council members along the way, so we can bring whatever resources you want to have that conversation with you.
With the healthcare issues over in St. Joe County, it sure has probably messed up some of this planning, hasn't it?
With St. Joseph Health System,
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, there's 2 things I would say about that. It kind of pushes forth the urgency in addressing, the health factors that we have in Marshall County. I mean, we've got great hospital systems in Beacon and in St. Joseph Health System, and we're all discouraged, at some of those services now discontinuing and increasing our transportation needs, to get to some of those things like cardio rehab, et cetera. We're all concerned about that, absolutely, but I can't think of a better reason to start investing up front in those things that'll help us become a healthier community. It is discouraging, I think, to look at the number of dollars that we spend on chronic health issues. And if there's something we can do to start to change that trend, seems like now there isn't a better time to do it. It's not gonna, like I said, we're seeing the numbers get worse instead of better.
Well, I appreciate you coming over. I mean, I know that our tax fundings, every place has gone down, and the tax cap has hurt us, and so that's something we'll have to look at. And I know we're going to budgets next look at budgets, what, in August? So it's something we'll have to look at
Yeah,
and get back with you. But thanks for coming over.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you. I know you've got a lot of challenges, and
Yeah.
I truly appreciate your taking the time to hear us talk about this. And,
Mhm.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I do not know your name. Can you
Linda.
give me your name, please?
Sorry, I should have started with that. I'm Linda Yoder. I'm
Okay.
the director for the Community Foundation in United Way, but in this,
I knew who you were, I just could not think. Okay, thank you,
tonight
Linda.
I'm here for Crossroads. So whatever happens.
Thank you again, Linda.
Yeah, absolutely.
Going in a report from department heads, Kim, clerk treasurer.
Approval of claims 4510 to 4574, $164,527.26.
I'll make a motion to approve the claims 4510 through 4574.
Motion on the floor, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have an agreement from Asset Control Solutions. They're the ones that does our asset, well, we have a current asset management plan. The State Board of Accounts changed the asset part of the financial report that's due every year, and they now require you to show a depreciation. And ours currently does not do that. So I'm asking for approval to sign with Asset Control Solutions for an agreement of $2,250 to update our depreciation in our capital assets. Our capital assets is in good shape, it's just gotta have the depreciation part. So they'll not be coming in and redoing all of our assets. They're just going to go by the years and undo our depreciation.
Is this a one-time?
This will be, yes, a one-time, and this is something that the state board,
They're requiring it.
they're requiring it, yes.
How long is that good for, once they
Well,
accreditate that?
I mean, every time we buy anything over our asset threshold, then I add that to it. So once they get the depreciation in there, the formula's in there to show how that all will depreciate over a certain amount of years. As long as it's kept up, it will be good for however long.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to move forward with that agreement with Asset Resolutions.
I second. All in favor, say aye.
The second is the codification of our ordinances. They were last done in 2011. So now if somebody would go on our website or anything like that, they're not seeing any of our current ordinances over the last 10 years. The gentleman that had done ours in the past has passed away. And this is a company that seems to do a lot of them in our area. It's a total cost of $6,750, but that would be spread over 2 budget years.
And where's this company from?
They are from, well, I should have looked at that. They're out of Ohio.
Ohio.
Mhm.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's good for the citizens to be able to see the ordinance, especially when we're changing them, I guess.
I'm good with that, yeah. I'll make that motion to accept it.
Second that, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries to pass for the ordinances.
Just a note that starting on Thursday, East Jefferson Street between Washington and Harris Street will be being closed for a storm drain basin repair, and it will take about a week. So just
East Jefferson, you say?
East Jefferson between Washington and Harris. And that's all I have.
Thanks, Kim. Chief Martin, your activity report? Part-time officer?
I'd like permission to put Steve Watkins on part-time officer in our department.
Can you tell us a little bit about him?
He's a certified officer. He grew up in Bourbon. He moved to New York. He was certified out there. He moved back. He was over at Kosciuszko County, and he liked to work part-time for us.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that. I know get shorthanded sometimes.
I make a motion to take him on as part-time.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries to take on Steve Watkins as a part-time officer. How about Reserve Officer Josh Wagers?
He lives in Bourbon. He's worked at the Marshall County Jail and the Kosciuszko County Jail currently. He's had the 40-hour pre-basic, and he's got a little bit of experience and interested in the reserve department.
Do we have openings on that for that? I know we've lost, what, how many have we lost?
We're down to 6, but there's a couple on medical leave.
Okay, I make a motion to accept him.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Anything else, Chief Martin? Thank you.
Good luck with your surgery.
Yeah. Need anything, let us know. Roger Terry, Street Department, Public Works.
Activity reports. And I have Brad from JPR here. It's that time of year again to do our grant again for the next coming up. And if we want to proceed forward with that, some more. I know there's some issues with some funds for next year and the year after, so I'm just kind of checking to make sure.
There's access to grants that we can utilize, right?
Well, we're
But-
talking about.
This is a community crossings
This is
grant.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Plus-
It requires a 25% match from the
Yes,
town.
that's
Yeah.
what it requires.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that? We've done it in the past, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done it in the past, so,
I
about have to.
I've got a few, and I've got some streets jotted down for Ryan to look at, so.
Yeah,
And it has benefited us each year.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be in favor of that.
Okay.
I second that.
Ryan, do you want an update for the project coming up now?
Yeah, so I was able to get in touch with Phil from E&B,
Okay.
and so he is going to work around the school schedule. I believe school starts August 10th.
Something like that.
Right close there, yeah.
Phil said that he would make the town of Bourbon a priority ahead of 2 other towns that he's contracted with.
Yeah.
So.
That's good because it affects both of our main roads to the school,
Yeah.
so that's
Right.
very good. Okay.
I guess all in favor of that last?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay. Chuck, our zoning department.
Been working on some unsafe properties and buildings. Won't bring up any of the addresses or anything at this time, but I'm trying to keep you informed of that. And we've had one homeowner, property owner who decided to start construction without a permit. We sent them a letter today, giving them a stop work order and giving them a fine for that. I think those are the main things we've been doing here and trying to keep on top of what's happening with the construction. As far as the other item on that list, bring that up at a later date.
Anything else, Chuck? Chad Stepp, Fire Chief.
I got a few things. Since the last meeting, we had 4 calls, a barn fire, accident, a medical call, and a tree limb fell on a power line that landed on a shed and caught the shed on fire. We couldn't do nothing until NIPSCO got there. It was a aluminum shed. And I want to thank Roger, because on that barn fire, he stepped up and hopped in that tanker and shoveled some water for us.
Mm.
July 24th is our Set Park fundraiser for fireworks money.
What's the
we've had
time?
3 donations.
What's the time on that, July 24th?
6 p.m. Quentin Flag will be there. We'll be having hot dogs and pop and water.
There should be a Nashville group there too.
Hmm?
There'll be a Nashville group there too.
Yeah.
We've had 3 generous donations for fireworks, 500 from you guys, and then a couple other generous people donated. So hopefully with this fundraiser, we can get close to what we need or what we spent. And then we're gonna be doing a gun raffle to raise money, because we spent some of our money, to try to get that built back up. I'm waiting on tickets to be printed for that. And we did purchase some battery operated extrication equipment. Our old stuff, it's $750 just for them to hop in their van to drive here to service it. That's not including what it costs to service. So it was time for an upgrade. We've been saving money from all our equipment fundraisers, and then we had to use one of the anonymous donations to help finish paying for it. We've received half of it. Hopefully the other half will be here soon.
So we don't have all of that. We don't have all that equipment yet.
No, but I trust Brad, and I'm gonna be here, and just the way things are.
As you don't, so you don't want me to hold those checks.
No, it'll be fine. We're waiting on a K-12. I
Okay.
totally trust him.
Taking your word for that.
I trust him. I think that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Report from Alex.
So those 2 properties listed right there, we sent out letters. I believe that Mr. Schatzler showed up here, Mr. Jackson, for 408 East Liberty. He hasn't moved that along the way he's supposed to. So we filed petitions for abatement on both of those addresses. And they are set for initial hearing in front of Judge Palmer in Circuit Court next week on Wednesday. So those are just initial hearings. So what normally happens is if they fail to show up, it'll just be a default judgment. But if they do show up and contest it, he'll probably set up for an evidentiary hearing probably in about 30, 45 days after that. So we can keep the process moving along.
I've noticed that on that property now with the fire that it's all exposed. They had it boarded up, but all the board's been taken off now, and animals can get in there, and it's just open now.
You're talking about 408?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because actually, Mr. Schatzel called me today, actually, and he was just wanting to know if Mr. Jackson need to be there next week. I told him, can't offer you advice, but he probably should be.
Yeah, he's the actual property owner, right?
Right. So, yeah, Mr. Jackson will need to be there, but he claimed, Mr. Schatzel claimed that he's still working inside. I have no idea if that's accurate or not. He's been saying that for
And
years.
he called and told me the same thing on that also. But.
Yeah.
Any progress on Karen Holmes?
So she has a new attorney. Before, basically right after the holiday, he and I were trying to coordinate a date that worked on our calendars and to have Chuck come along as well. I gave him 3 dates. He was unable to make one of them. He reached out to Karen on the 2 others. Then he told me he never heard from her. And then he left then for a week of vacation. So I'm hoping that this week I hear from him again on some new dates. Obviously, we'll keep it moving along.
History, isn't it?
Yeah, we had more issues today too, so it just is ever evolving.
With this particular property?
Yeah, properties.
Yeah.
Which one? Which property?
Mrs. Holmes, Ms. Holmes, Mrs. I don't know.
Well, I know last time I mean, it's been a while back. When the last time Chuck and I went out, Chuck had thought that she was making some progress. So,
Have you had any contact with her lately?
It seemed when we went out that she was getting some things done and was working better than it had been, which gave us some hope, which has turned out to be false hope. Because like she stopped.
When do we get to the point we just settle this thing?
Well, that's the same that she done these. I don't know how many attorneys she's went through last time, and they delayed it. And this is a pattern of history for her that she'll go through an attorney for a while, that they'll delay it, or
What's it going to take for us to settle this? I mean, this has been before the board how many times for years? Is this process?
well,
that
technically,
you're
she's
doing-
not in violation yet. We have to go out there and see where she's at with the properties. But, I mean, it technically already is settled. I mean, she's signed an agreement with the town that's enforceable. So
Does
if we go out there and she's not in compliance, we'll file an action with the circuit court.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how long do we delay this, going out there and looking at these properties?
Well, I think her attorney needs to give us some dates that work for everyone in the next 2-3 weeks
Okay.
maximum. Yeah, so we should definitively have something to report by the next meeting, and if we don't, then it may be time to move forward legally.
You can't just go out and do it.
No.
No, that agreement was agreed
Yeah.
upon by the council and her also, so.
Yeah.
Then we have to go by those
Yeah.
dates.
You have anything else, Alex?
That's it.
I have a couple questions to ask.
Yeah.
The BZA members had asked about the Avalobi hearing, Suzanne, that, got put on hold back in March, I believe it was. Is that ever gonna move forward? Is it over and done with, or?
Well, technically, my understanding was that she was continuing to become compliant, and she had her, the home that was gonna be up and running, was it last month? So, we can technically try to move it forward. There were some legal issues with our ordinance, though, that were gonna be problematic if I tried to push the issue on that.
So is that something that you're just going to dismiss, or, they were
Well,
just wondering,
I don't know if I necessarily want to dismiss it, because I want to kind of hold their feet to the fire. I mean, I think that it's in their best interest that it remain, or our best interest to remain pending, to keep her honest about getting something done. I can reach out to her attorney and see if we can have Chuck go back out and just monitor the progress of where she's at with it. But there are some problems with, number one, there's 2 different places in our ordinance about membership for the BZA that is at odds with each other. And the second part was a conflict issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, we had sent a couple letters concerning junk vehicles out. Their deadline has passed as of Monday. So Bill and I was just, if they are on the property, can we have them towed, or do you need to have a court order for that first? If they're sitting on the property, not in the right of way. Isn't that what we were
'Cause we just
understood?
changed that ordinance, didn't we? Is that the one we changed? I can't remember now.
I think we made some modifications to
And so I think there's a requirement to post like a written notice that it's going to be removed. So like a 72-hour notice.
it. That was in the right of way.
Okay.
Yeah, these are not on the right of way. One of them.
I have to look. I don't
Okay.
want to give you the wrong answer.
One of them is on one of the properties that is going to go to court next week. The other one is not. So I didn't want to have them towed, and then we have all kinds of issues at that point.
I have to look.
Okay.
Let me look tomorrow and I'll get back with you.
All right. Thank you.
That's it.
patrons' comments?
I'm Frances Berkey, and I'd like to request $220 for the awards for the Bourbon Summerfest Parade.
Yeah, we've always done that, so I guess I
I'd
make a
make a-
motion to keep up with what we've done.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Lonnie?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of get and I touched base with Kim earlier on this, but wanted to get the sequence of what I need to do, and I wanted to get the town council updated. I'm hopefully this fall gonna be making a move in the forward direction on getting a building started on the old root beer stand. I mean, for us to remember, the root beer stand here on West Center Street, and kind of got a delay, and just to let the town council know, I know there's nothing anybody can do, but it's just bad timing, I guess, on my part. But long story short, when I got my tax reassessment, as we all did in the spring, and I realized most of our taxes had went up, and I'm not gonna say I'm fighting, I'm just trying to get the county to be transparent and tell me which way they're going. But long story short, every other comparable business in town that already has a building up, and I realize they're not new construction, some of these buildings have been revamped or whatever, but any of the other automotive type repair shops in town, the average customer or owner is paying $1,500 to $2,000 in property taxes for the year. This is for a business that's already running and up and, buildings up, structures ready to go. I've got 0.51 acres down there because that property was originally 2 parcels, and since I needed to put a building straddling, I had to have 2 properties turned into 1, so I've got a brand new replat, but that's 0.51 acres. And when I got my tax assessment, they want $2,216 for my 0.51 acres that doesn't even have a building on it yet. And I went to the county, and their answers are so vague. And it's like I was telling Kim, they don't have this. I thought, and I was mistaken, that you would go in and they would say, okay, this is the way it works. If you have 0.51 acres, you take the square footage times 0.31 times pi times whatever, and you figure it up. They just pull a number from somewhere it should have been pulled from, let's put it that way. And I'm trying to get them to, I told them, I said, there's no wonder that people aren't coming into our small towns, Argus, Inwood, Bourbon, to want to put in a new building and put up a new business and construction. The taxes, and they had no answers for me whatsoever. I told them I didn't want to squeal too loud because I don't want anybody else's taxes to be raised due to me questioning why mine are so high. But I would beat everybody else in town. I think the only other person in town in the business that would have been higher would be Subway, and I don't even have a building. And my goal when I bought that was to not only, since, we all know I lost my auto shop next to the mini mart, get a new building put up, and the biggest thing for the town, since I've lived here all my life, is beautify that property. That place has been horrible for how many years? It's just an eyesore. And so that's kind of got me in the neutral, because I'm trying to decide how I can do this and make the property taxes affordable. Once they told me what they thought it would be once I put up a new building, it was $100 more a month than the payment would be. This is coming from the county. And so I guess that's my job. There's nothing anybody can do, but I wish there would be something, not only for me, but in the future. If the town or somebody could do some investigating and say, is there anything we could possibly do to help small guys come in small towns, and if they wanted to start a business, make sure that their property taxes right off the bat are where they can handle them and they can start a business. Because I learned the hard way on this deal. Being in town in business 30 years, lost the building, go to build a new one, and found out it's gonna be tough to afford it. But that being said, I know I talked to Kim, if I put the building up to be safe off the road, I would ask for a variance to move back towards the railroad a little bit. Like if that's 15 feet, I would want to leave like a 3 foot and move the building back so it's kind of off of, Center Street there. And so make sure that I'm in the right time frame. So I would start that process with Kim, right? Let you know and,
Well,
BZA.
Chuck, it'll go through Chuck, and then I will send the letters
okay.
and all that
And
stuff.
and about how long does that take?
It takes about the BZA, next BZA meeting is a month from now. So we have to have that advertisement in 10 days prior
We
to,
have to have the letters have to
the
be-
letters and all that stuff have to go out, but the public notice has gotta be out 10 days prior to the meeting date. So if that's something you're thinking you're wanting to start, you need to get that stuff to us pretty soon. If you
Like,
want it to
yeah,
go through
tomorrow, the
August's
next day
meeting,
would-
yes.
That would be good.
Yeah.
I would appreciate that.
And then once that happened, and I know I came up last night thinking there was some meeting last night, and I probably.
The Plan Commission president canceled their meeting last
Okay.
night.
So then, once that's done, then that would, that would be with then when I bring the drawings and all that would go with that same meeting, would that be able to happen at the same meeting?
You have to do a public hearing, don't you?
Well,
But
but that's what that's what he's asking for, yeah.
So if I get the information to you, the public hearing would be prior to the August meeting?
No, it would be at the August.
That would
meeting.
be at the
Or at the
August
August
meeting,
meeting. Now, also at that meeting, and then what the county told me, that if I had all the drawings and you guys all looked at it and signed off and said everything looks good, and the county was the other division, that was with the zoning, was very knowledgeable, let me know, put an emergency exit door, size bathroom, they kind of give me, so they said, I don't want any hiccups once I turn the paperwork in, to try to move forward in a hurry in the fall. So if things went well at that meeting with the public hearing and this, that, and the other, and everything was approved, then it would go to the county.
to get your building
And
permit,
they said it would take
Yeah.
a couple of weeks, so that would, maybe by the end of August, I would have a possible building permit.
yeah, if the
Okay.
Board of Zoning Appeals agrees with what you want, then we send
We send that report into the.
to the county, and they can issue your building permit
Sure.
at that point.
Yeah, I went ahead and had a meeting with them real quick, with two guys over there, to make sure that when I turn something in, they weren't gonna reject it and come back, because I do have a builder that could possibly be in there in September. And then, so I wanted to get the time frame on that, I appreciate that, and then, like I said, I'm still gonna work on this property tax thing, because I think you can't even believe for a half acre, they would want 2,216, and there's not a building up there yet, so.
Did you file the
I
grievance
turned
with
I
them?
turned the paper in, and I told them that I would request a meeting with them, and I've got plenty of comparables, and like I said, I don't wanna to expose anybody else, I don't think that's not, but everybody else is on the same level, and then all of a sudden, here's my property up here, and their response was, well, the Bourbon Mini Mart just sold for 1.6 million. I said, the Bourbon Mini Mart wasn't selling property, that's not real estate, that was a business that was being sold. And that business had records that you could show, this is what you're gonna make by making this purchase. And like I said, I was absolutely amazed at some of the comments that came from the county. That I thought they would say, this is the process, this is how we figured property taxes, and certain square foot, and if you're under 1,500, it's this, and 1,500 to 3,000 on a building would be this. And they didn't have any answers for my questions, and I said, it's just, I wish they could do something to help us small towns to encourage people to come in and say, I wanna put in a business or build a new building. And I said, well, I'll be the first brand new building put up in Bourbon in I don't know how many years, So hopefully it all works out, but I just wanna keep you guys updated on what I'm doing, and been working on this for about a year, and of course with building costs and everything else, it's a roller coaster, and you're trying to hit it on the down sweep instead of the up sweep, but to get everything going. So I'll get with you, Kim, and get the ball rolling, and that'll be like a $75 fee, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's everywhere, Lonnie. All the small towns are struggling with that, and
They are.
property taxes are outrageous right now because of land value, and land value high is, everybody's looking for land to buy a house or have a house, and, I mean, it's a big bubble right now.
Yeah, you know, I told him, I said, you know, bottom line, I look at it kind of realistic. That property laid there for 4 years
Mhm.
and nobody bought it.
Yeah.
It was advertised 4 years. When I offered 20,000, and that's public knowledge, offered 20,000, I got it bought. Now, what that tells me is, as much traffic as goes through
Mhm.
Bourbon on Old 30, the property was evidently worth 20,000.
Yeah.
Because nobody made an offer, I did after 4 years, I bought it. And here they're trying to tell me that it's worth 73,000. And I said, write the check. So there's a property right out at the edge of town, been advertised for, I think it's Brandon Hoffer's lot out there, and I know it's residential, but it's advertised at 35,000 and it hasn't sold. So I think I was real comparable on the price with what the property needs, and,
But they're
you know,
using state comparisons on property values when they do these assessments.
yeah, it kinda hurts a small town.
Yeah.
Doesn't it? Yeah, sure.
So. Anything else, Lonnie?
That's it.
Thanks for investing in it.
Yes.
You know,
I'm trying.
so, we appreciate it.
Well,
I mean,
we've all been here all our life.
Yeah.
Pretty much, so I don't think we're
Yeah.
going anywhere.
Any other council member comments?
Not for me.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
What was the conflict?
Oh, that's fine. You're fine.